In the heart of a storm brewing in the Middle East, a decision looms that could change the course of history. Tensions with Iran have reached a boiling point. The United States once again finds itself at the crossroads of diplomacy and military force. A military asset, perhaps the USS Abraham Lincoln or one of its twin carriers, is now en route to the region, a clear signal of what's to come. But this isn't just a routine deployment, it's a buildup, an intricate game of strategy where each move is calculated with one question in mind: will the president choose to strike? You can feel the gravity in the air, a moment where military decisions will not just impact the region, but the future of global relations. The clock is ticking. Stay tuned as we break down the forces at play and what happens next. To understand the magnitude of what's unfolding, we must first take a step back and consider the context. The Middle East has long been a tinderbox where even the smallest spark can ignite a firestorm. But this isn't just about regional conflicts, it's about global power dynamics. For decades, U.S. military presence in the region has been a cornerstone of its strategy. Yet, as tensions with Iran flare up once again, the stakes are higher than ever. The U.S. is no stranger to military deployments, but this operation is different. It's about setting the force, the purpose, to provide the president with viable military options in case a decision is made to strike. It's a careful balancing act, one that demands precision and foresight. The question is no longer if a strike could happen, but when and with what consequences. Let's dive deeper into the mechanism that makes this possible. The question that remains is why now? Why is the U.S. ramping up its military presence in such a deliberate way? This buildup is no accident. It's part of a strategy known as setting the force. Think of it as a chessboard where each piece is carefully placed, waiting for the right moment to strike. The USS Abraham Lincoln and its counterparts are more than just ships. They're symbols of power, positioning, and pressure. Their movement sends a message not just to Iran, but to the world. The U.S. military isn't just sending ships, it's sending a statement. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, missile defense systems, all moving into place. But it's not just about numbers, it's about the precise timing of each deployment based on a web of intelligence, diplomacy, and geopolitics. At the heart of this decision lies a delicate question: how will Iran respond in the coming days? The U.S. military planners are preparing for every possibility, and then the unthinkable happens. An event, a single spark, ignites the crisis. Iran, known for its unpredictable moves, could respond with aggression. A provocative act, whether in the form of a military strike or a cyber attack, would send shockwaves through the region. The U.S. response would be swift, no longer just a question of if, but how. In this high-stakes game, decisions are made in the blink of an eye. This is where it gets different. This will not be a passive response. The U.S. is ready to take aggressive action. The military planners are preparing options, some offensive, some defensive. The message from Washington is clear. Any further escalation will be met with a response, one that could forever alter the balance of power in the Middle East. The question now is, how far will the U.S. be willing to go to maintain its influence? The answer could reshape the region for years to come. Behind the scenes, a hidden mechanism is at play. The military, ever adaptive and responsive, is not acting on mere impulse. Every deployment, every ship moved, is part of a calculated strategy. It's not just about sending a force, it's about understanding the dynamics that drive conflict in the Middle East. The U.S. military's presence isn't random. It's the culmination of years of intelligence, observation, and preparation. These assets are positioned in a way that ensures a flexible, adaptable response to Iranian moves, and it's all tied to the broader geopolitical landscape. The system is designed to maintain leverage, to create options for the president. The U.S. isn't just reacting, it's shaping the future of the region. The pressure on Iran grows as they know this isn't just a show of force, it's a signal of an impending shift in power. This is not just military strategy, this is a complex web of power, diplomacy, and global influence that will define the next chapter in Middle Eastern history? As the tension thickens, Iran strikes again. This time the act is even more provocative, sending the region into a spiral. The response from the US is swift, a high-speed escalation that demands immediate action. There's no turning back now. Military options that were once theoretical are now on the table, ready to be executed. This is the second mini-crisis, the pivotal moment where the stakes are raised. The world watches, knowing that one misstep could set off a chain of events that may lead to full-scale conflict. As US forces prepare for an offensive operation, it becomes clear that the situation has crossed the line. What began as a calculated buildup has now transformed into an urgent, high-stakes conflict. The rapid escalation underscores the fragile nature of global peace. How long can the US afford to stand by while Iran continues to push boundaries? How will the international community react to this unfolding crisis? The clock continues to tick, and the world braces for what's coming next. As the tension escalates, the impact is felt far beyond the corridors of power. The people, both in the US and the Middle East, bear the weight of these decisions. In the US, families of soldiers stationed in the region watch closely, torn between pride in their service and fear for their loved ones. Every deployment means a potential sacrifice, a life on the line. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, civilians live under the shadow of uncertainty. They are the ones who suffer the most, enduring the consequences of decisions made thousands of miles away. Their daily lives are disrupted, their safety compromised. It's not just a military game, it's a human crisis. The world is watching, but it's the people who feel the true cost of war. As the US military prepares to act, the emotional toll of these decisions becomes more apparent. The question remains, will the leaders in power consider the lives at stake, or will the pressure of geopolitics overshadow the humanity of the situation? This is the reality of war, the high cost, the unseen casualties, and the uncertainty. The US isn't the only one watching. The world is on edge as the Middle East becomes the epicenter of a global crisis. The geopolitical implications are far-reaching. With US assets now deployed, the ripple effect is felt across continents. Allies like Israel brace for potential attacks, while rivals like Russia and China observe with growing concern. What happens in the Middle East doesn't stay in the Middle East. The ripple effects reach far beyond, influencing global trade, diplomacy, and security. An all-out conflict could threaten the global economy, sending shockwaves through markets and destabilizing already fragile international relations. The US military's presence isn't just a statement to Iran, it's a message to the world. America's influence in this region remains unchallenged. But as tensions escalate, the question looms larger. How will the international community respond? Will the US find its allies in this high-stakes game, or will it face global isolation in the wake of a military escalation? The world is holding its breath, waiting to see if diplomacy can still steer this ship away from the brink. As we look to the future, there are three distinct paths this crisis could take, each with its own consequences. First, the best-case scenario, a de-escalation. Diplomacy works. The pressure on Iran leads to a negotiated settlement, and the region stabilizes. The US military returns to its bases, and tensions ease, restoring some sense of peace. The ripple effects of this peaceful resolution would have a positive impact on global markets, restoring confidence and fostering collaboration among world powers. The middle scenario is a prolonged standoff where both sides continue to push and pull, each testing the other's resolve. It would lead to a tense peace, one that keeps the world on edge but doesn't spill over into full conflict. The US remains in a state of heightened alert, and the Middle East stays in limbo, dangerously close to an all-out war, but just far enough from the brink to avoid it. The worst-case scenario, full-blown conflict. The US strikes, Iran retaliates, and the region plunges into chaos. The global economy suffers, and the ripple effects of war echo across the world, leaving devastation in its wake. The geopolitical landscape is forever altered, and the consequences of this decision will echo for decades. The choices made in the coming days will shape the future of not only the Middle East but the entire world. The U.S. stands at a pivotal moment in history, where a single decision could tilt the balance of power, alter alliances, and reshape global relations. Whether this leads to a peaceful resolution or a devastating conflict, the consequences will be far-reaching. As we reflect on the situation, one thing becomes clear. The weight of these decisions falls not only on the leaders, but on the millions of lives that will be impacted. The question now is whether diplomacy can prevail or if the world will be thrust into a new era of warfare. The clock is ticking and only time will tell how this complex web of politics, power, and human emotion will unfold. The choice is in the hands of the decision makers, but the impact will be felt by us all. Stay tuned as this crisis continues to evolve. This is not just a geopolitical struggle, it's a battle for the future. Stay informed, stay prepared. The Middle East has long been a tinderbox where even the smallest spark can ignite a firestorm. But this isn't just about regional conflicts, it's about global power dynamics. For decades, U.S. military presence in the region has been a cornerstone of its strategy. Yet, as tensions with Iran flare up once again, the stakes are higher than ever. The U.S. is no stranger to military deployments, but this operation is different. It's about setting the force. The purpose? To provide the president with viable military options in case a decision is made to strike. It's a careful balancing act, one that demands precision and foresight. The question is no longer if a strike could happen, but when and with what consequences. Let's dive deeper into the mechanism that makes this possible. The question that remains is why now? Why is the U.S. ramping up its military presence in such a deliberate way?